Hey everybody, welcome to our next video in our React series. So what I want to do is to show you kind of like when you start having really large, complex component trees, it gets really frustrating to kind of keep track of like how do you send data. Because imagine that I have a piece of data from app, and right now I only have one layer of components, so everything is sort of a. But let's actually try putting some of these other components in here. So let's say stuff is in form. So let me add stuff to the form. So let's say I wanted to pass information from app. Oh no, that's not where I wanted to put it. Control X. That's still an app. I want to put it right at the bottom of form. Like that. Okay, so basically I want to get data from app to stuff. First I would have to pass data onto form via props, so I would do something like this, like data equals, we'll say hello. Okay, data equals hello, and then what happens, we then pass that back down to stuff. So then I would do like data equals props.data, because now this is referred to as props.data in this component because it's part of props. I passed it as a prop from form to form component, and then from form component I'm passing as another prop down the stuff. This is called prop drilling. You're just drilling down the layers of components, and this can be really, really frustrating. This is why people started using Redux, and basically saying, hey, screw this, we're gonna move all our state up to the top, have this Redux store that stores all our state, and just manage it from there. But at the end of the day, really the purpose of React was to kind of encapsulate that data only where it's needed, okay? And that way the components become reusable, because technically the components just know what they need to have, what information they need coming in, and as long as they have the right information coming in, it doesn't matter where they are in your component tree, it doesn't matter how they work, they just work, okay? That's why it tries to take this really functional approach, because if you're not worried about what's going in and out, the relationship between components isn't they're not dependent on each other. All they're dependent on is on the exact same, on a particular form of input. So long as I get this string in this function, my component's going to do something. So in that case, you want to try to figure out how to kind of work within those parameters, but passing data like, down several layers can be really annoying. So what they did is they added context. The context API makes this a lot easier. Okay, so the way this would work is we want to create context. So I'm going to do that separately up here. So we're going to say const data equals react dot create context, and then we're just going to say it's literally the string hello. Okay, so that's what we're passing in. So now I have this context called data. Okay, and actually I'll do it in uppercase. Data. So once you have that, I want to use it here. I want to take that variable and provide it to all my components from app down. So then what I do is I'll wrap this in, should be like data.provider. Okay, so I need to put everything inside of there. Actually, come to think of it, I'm not sure if I even have to put anything here. I think this would just be fine if I do this. I'll specify the data down there. So React, that just creates the context component. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go back over here to provider, and I'm going to say provider, and I think this has got to be capital P. Okay, data.provider. And then the value it's going to provide is hello. Just a string hello. Okay. And now, if I want to use that in stuff, I don't have to pass it through form. I can just go over to stuff, and then I just use this cook and just say react dot use context, and I want to grab the data context. Okay. And it'll grab that particular hook. Okay, so it'll recognize it, and then, and actually I have to go save it in a variable, so we'll say const data equals react.useContext data. Okay, and then I should be able to console log data. So let's do that, console.log. This is my data, and then console log data. See if it worked. Okay, and there you go. See, this is my data hello, so it worked. It received that data that came from app, and now I can pass it to all of app's children. So it's just an easy way to pass sort of data that you're going to be using all around into one place. Okay, so basically it just goes boop, and yeah, that's how that works. So I can pass in anything here. I can pass in a piece of state, a function, an object with all sorts of different information in it, whatever I want to pass in. Okay, so that's how the use context works. The other thing I want to point out is there's a thing called children. So let's go back to stuff, because stuff doesn't have much going on. Actually, let's go to the G world. Okay. So let's say I change this in G world, and I change this just the div. And in the middle of it, we do props.children. Actually, this first is just do as a div. Okay, it's just an empty div. And I go over here to stuff again, and then I create a G world component. This is inside the form. Now when I do that, and I can put some children in here, so h1 hello world. This won't be visible because I have any children of an element have to be like specified. So if I go over here, we shouldn't see all that. See, we don't see it anywhere. But the component is there. If I go over here, see, I see G world. Just nothing there. But if I go back to G world, and in between it I go props.children. Okay, then all those children elements will show up. So we go here and see hello world, because that's showing up as a child of G world, and we said that any children of G world can show up there. So you can, the reason why that's useful is because you can then take whatever children are being passed in between the component and use them in different ways. So you don't have to show them on the template. You could use them as parameters or do whatever fun magic you'd like to do with them. But the point is you can use that information of whatever is in between the opening and closing tag if you wanted. Okay, so that's another cool thing you can do in React, and I'll leave this one at that. I'll see you guys in the next video. Ciao.